In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you all of the books that are on my 2024 TBR at the moment. Let's get right into it. Okay, so I started this off by saying at the moment because I am a massive mood reader. You all know that if you have seen previous videos on this channel when it comes to books. I can have a different mood when it comes to reading tomorrow. That is how annoying of a mood reader I am. So I have a feeling this is definitely going to change. This as in my list. I have a total of 9 books on my list that I'm going to be sharing with you. So it might actually result in multiple videos throughout the year, which could be an interesting thing. I might do multiple of these videos, but for now, this is what the list is going to be. And you might recognize some titles on this list. If you see me looking down, by the way, I'm looking at my iPad that has like all of my notes up. But some of these titles are repeats because one, I started these books back in 2023, some of them, and two, I mentioned some of these books in a book gift guide back in December. So you might recognize some of these, but there are some new stuff, don't you worry. So let's start with the books that I started in 2023 and I plan on finishing them in 2024. The first one is Never Whistle at Night. This one is a collection of dark fiction stories, short stories by Indigenous writers, authors, and it has an introduction by Stephen Graham Jones, which he's like my favorite author at this given moment. And I absolutely loved this book so much. I was truly enjoying it. I'm about halfway finished, but like I said, I'm a big mood reader. I started it back in fall of 2023 and I just fell out of that spooky mood after Halloween and I put it down for a little bit. But I 100% anticipate picking it back up probably during spooky season once again. We'll see, but definitely want to finish it this year. But the next book that you probably will recognize is The Goldfinch. I have been currently reading that. I've been reading that since November, and I'm a little bit over 50% through this book. So it took about 2.5 months for me to get there. I'm assuming it's going to take me another 2.5 months to finish it. So I should be finishing it soon. I want to finish this book so bad. I'm so determined. By the way, if you've never heard of The Goldfinch, which I would be surprised because it's one of the most popular books out there, but it is about a young New Yorker grieving his mother's death and is pulled into a gritty underworld of art and wealth. I picked this one up because I was really into the dark academia vibes, and Donna Tartt is just someone who is very well known in that area. She may be like the queen of dark academia, if you will. So, yeah, I picked that one up for that reason, and I want to finish it, even though I'm kind of out of that dark academia vibe. The story is still so good that I'm still intrigued and I just want to know how it ends. I just want to know. But yeah, those are the 2 books that I have from 2023 that I want to finish up in 2024. The next book is actually a book that I finished. This is the first book that I finished of 2024. Thank you to audiobooks, but I will put in one more disclaimer. So I listened to this audiobook on Spotify. I have a premium account, and so a lot of audiobooks are just included in your premium account. However, there is a cap. There's a listening cap of 12 hours, I believe. And so if you listen to an audiobook that is more than 12 hours, or if you're trying to listen to more than one audiobook that is equals more than 12 hours, you will get capped and it will ask you, Spotify will ask you if you want to top up, which is essentially paying $13 extra to get additional listening hours if you're listening to an audiobook. Now, you can either do that or you can just wait until your next billing cycle and then your 12 hours will refresh. So it's actually super annoying, but I lucked out in that I was listening to an audiobook, not the one that I'm about to mention to you, but I was listening to a different audiobook and it stopped me very recently. So I have about 7 more days until this all refreshes, but yeah, that's kind of annoying, and just a heads up on that. But the book that I was able to finish before I got capped off is Glossy. So this is a nonfiction book. It's a business entrepreneurial type book. It's about the story of Emily Weiss, who is the creator of Glossier. I'm a big Glossier fan, so I've always been interested in the story behind it, and I've always wanted to read Glossy. But when I saw that it was included in the Spotify Premium, I was like, you know what? Let me just listen to it. And I'm so glad that I did because I really sped through it. It is a fast-paced type of book and it was very interesting and insightful. I'm not going to give you a full review because that's not what this video is about, but I will do a video on the books that I completed this year at the end of the year, and I'll give you some ratings and rankings and stuff like that. But yeah, that was the first audiobook or book that I finished in 2024. The audiobook that I'm listening to right now is, and I got capped off, is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. This was in that December gift-worthy books video. I don't know why I have a hard time saying that, but it was in that video because I wanted to read this for so long. And once again, it is included in Spotify Premium. So I started it. I'm about 17 chapters in, and it's essentially a memoir of Jennette McCurdy by Jennette McCurdy. And she actually reads the audiobook. So it has been extra special hearing it from her. So if it's an audiobook that you want to check out, I do recommend this one. She speaks so well. Yeah, that is definitely one I'm going to finish soon because it goes by very quickly as well. It's fast paced. The next book on my list is Bunny. This one I actually was gifted during the holidays. I participated in a little bit of a book swap on Instagram, and the person who got me sent me this book. And I'm so glad because I didn't mention this book before, how I wanted it so much. It's about I'll tell you, it's a down the rabbit hole tale of loneliness and belonging, friendship and desire, and the fantastic and terrible power of the imagination. It has been compared to The Vegetarian, and I loved The Vegetarian, and it's sort of like a vegetarian meets Heathers kind of story. Sounds very intriguing, very interesting, and I've heard that it's weird, and I love weird, so I'm looking forward to that one as well. The next book on my list is more so of a course. I talked about this in my recent Day in My Life vlog, but I finally started The Artist's Way. And The Artist's Way is a course on discovering or rediscovering your creativity. I like to compare it, now that I've actually started it, to a college course. And so I got sticky notes, I have my highlighters, I have a notebook ready to go for getting through this book. But even though it's a course format, I still consider it a book to go through and read. So it's on my TBR list. I think that counts. I feel like if you're in school right now and you're reading like required texts, that should count. That should count as like your list of completed books for the year. Let me know if you agree with me in the comments, but I think that totally counts. And that's why it's on my list here, even though I'm not in school at all. Moving on, the next book is One Perfect Couple. This one is a new Ruth Ware book coming out this year. And if you saw a recent book video that I did, I can't remember which one it is at this point, but I am always going to give Ruth Ware a try. She's a hit or miss author. Some of her books are great, some of them are not so great, some of them are in between. And I'm just always willing to give her a try because it's an easy read, so it doesn't really hurt me to give her a try. And this one is sort of like a vibe of Agatha Christie, it says. And it says the thriller follows 5 couples trapped on a storm-swept island as a killer stalks among them. This one sounds pretty cool. She does quite well when it comes to adaptations of well-known thrillers. And so I have a feeling that this one is going to be good. I will say the cover is a little bit generic, so I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. It's just a cover at the end of the day, but hopefully it is not too generic. It does sound super interesting though. The next book on my list, and I'm almost to the end of it, is The Angel of Indian Lake. This one is the third and last, perhaps, book in the Stephen Graham Jones slasher trilogy that I mentioned when I talked about the 2 books that I finished in this trilogy. I say last with a question mark at the end because when it comes to slashers, and this is a slasher trilogy, things can change and you never know what happens. They tend to break the rules when they want to. And if they break the rules really well, it's really good. So who knows? But it is the supposed final installment, and it picks up 4 years after Don't Fear the Reaper, which is one of the books in the trilogy, as Jade returns to Proof Rock, Idaho, to build a life after years of sacrifice, only to find the Lake Witch is waiting for her. So if you know anything about this trilogy, you know exactly what's about to happen here. I'm getting some definitely final installment vibes here when it comes to slashers, if you know anything about how the slasher format is kind of structured. So everything's going down in this book, long story short. At least I think so. And I'm so looking forward to wrapping up this trilogy. It has been a wild ride and it's very fun. This is probably my most anticipated book on this entire list. But the last book on this list is one that I threw on there because I'm feeling a little confident. Y'all, I already finished a book for 2024 and we're still in the first month, so I'm going to ride this confidence vibe and keep this one on the list. And it is Haunting on the Hill. So I've had this book on my TBR for a while, since before I knew it came out, because I actually worked for the publishing house. So I knew for a long time before it was coming out. And so I've just always wanted to read it for a while now, basically. And it's the first ever novel authorized to return to the world of Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House. The Haunting of Hill House is one of my favorite books ever. So eerie, so disturbing. It sticks with me to this day, and I read it so long ago. So I'm very, very excited to return to this world and have a little modern approach to it. And I've just heard incredible things about this book. So I wanted to throw this back on here because I have a feeling if I continue on this path that I'm going on, where I'm reading books pretty consistently and in different formats, that I can definitely get to it. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. It might also be like a spooky read during that time of the year kind of book. So I don't know, but I'm going to keep it on there because I am hopeful. That is all. That is the entire list. Let me know if you have read any of these books and you liked them, disliked them, whatever your thoughts are, but no spoilers, please. And let me know if you have any recommendations for me based off of the vibe that you get from these books. If you have any book recommendations that are similar, I am always open to recommendations. As I mentioned in the intro, this list is subject to change and I can throw a book on there at any given point. I will let you know, by the way, if I end up doing that. But also let me know what books are on your TBR list this year. If you kind of grab from your never ending TBR, or do you have any books that are specific to the year because you want to get to them in that year? I don't know. You just let me know. I will also link all of these books down in the description box, as well as my story graph if you want to follow along my little reading journey here. But thank you so, so much for hanging out with me in this video. I have been having a lot of fun talking about books, and I'm glad there has been a bit of a resurgence in the book community over on all of these social media platforms. So happy to chat with you fellow book lovers, and I will talk to you in next week's video.